The Nintendo Switch is my favorite console of all time, and I would love to take this time to look over the 12,000 games that are on the Switch's eShop with the objective, definitive 21 best Switch games of all time. Now, I don't care if this is delisted, physical, digital, indie, AAA, first party, third party. If you can play it on Switch, that's all it takes to be here. I'm gonna be talking about my personal experience with all of these games, what stuck out to me. Don't be expecting any like in-depth reviews or analysis. You wanna talk about a shooter with style? Right here, dude. I bought Neon White on just a whim. I didn't really think much about it. When I was playing it, I thought Neon White was just okay, but the game really stuck out to me. Whenever I'd be at work, getting groceries, jorking it, I'd want to play Neon White. The premise is pretty cool. These people who've done shady shit on Earth before they died can't get into heaven, so they do the bidding of angels to kill demons outside of the pearly gates. The art style feels a lot more like an animated Mirror's Edge 2, and the movement and gameplay feel a lot like a dance. Whenever you get everything working perfectly, it's so rewarding and addicting. I didn't even think I'd like this game, like, at all. It looked a lot like the CSGO slide footage that a lot of commentary channels play in the background, which I thought would be kind of gimmicky, and the use of cards in Neon White 2. Bro, the moment I see a card in a video game, I'm just so mentally checked out. I avoid cards like gamers avoid showering or pussy. They just never feel implemented right in games like Back 4 Blood, Battlefront 2 EA. I just figured out how to do that properly. And even still, they're just done so arbitrarily. They're never done right. But Neon White, on the other hand, uses these cards as your weapons. Pistols, machine guns, rocket launchers, and the developers were brilliant for doing it like this. Having a gun take up what's like a quarter of your screen is kind of impractical for a game where you need to see exactly where you're going. And where you should be heading to is my free Discord server down below. It's the best way to interact with me. We share stupid edgy memes, and if you need help with like tech stuff, we got you covered. This is such an awesome community, and I'd love for you to be a part of it. That'd be bananas. You know what else is bananas? Not only is Donkey Kong Country Tropical Freeze the best 2D platformer on Switch, it's the best 2D platformer. I remember buying this on the Wii U for my 16th birthday and hating it. And dude, this was so disappointing because I loved Donkey Kong Country Returns on my 3DS. Tropical Freeze just felt so unfair, but I gave it a second try and I loved it. It's a shame that it's been over a decade since we've had a brand new original Donkey Kong game because Retro Studios did amazing work here. And their next one's gonna be a 3D platformer. Some would say this is the wackest entry on the list, but Minecraft Dungeons is awesome. I don't really care for like top-down dungeon crawlers. This is not my thing. I like the camera being as close to the character as possible. I like the feeling that I'm the one in the action, not simply just observing it from afar. It's the difference between ziplining or bird watching, you know what I mean? But having the Minecraft IP set in this completely different kind of game was really exciting. I first saw this about a year after the initial announcement during some COVID Nintendo Direct, and I was so hyped. I bought this day one, and it's my favorite guilty pleasure game. The worlds are procedurally generated just like Minecraft, and each playstyle is genuinely great. I love using the twin daggers a lot, but I always end up with a spear as my heist level weapon, so gotta do what I gotta do. I think the biggest deterrent of Dungeons is playing this game local multiplayer on Switch. This will cut your frame rate in half, bro. I've only ever really done local multiplayer like twice and that's it, but this is still a great game. I swear to God, this is some of the best action I've ever seen in any video game. Platinum Games knew exactly what they were doing here. The combat you do as the cop player is really cool, it's slick and stylish, but when you whip out the astral chain, me, dude. It is a little confusing, but having two characters that you have to play simultaneously and it working this good is a feat that most developers won't even consider touching. So I don't really like to replay a lot of video game campaigns. I just feel like it makes the entire experience just a lot more tedious and annoying. So I haven't even touched the main campaign for Astral Chain in like half a decade. But the game has this Office PC, so I'm just knocking missions off of that. I will go a long time not even touching Astral Chain, and when I come back to it, I'm completely lost. But once I get the hang of everything, I'm on a thrill ride. So I just want to preface right now, if you haven't seen my videos, I love superhero games. I love open world games, but I fucking hate Grand Theft Auto. I have tried countless times to enjoy Rockstar games, but these are just not for me. I understand there is a bunch of social commentary in these games, a lot of undertones. They're a lot like Transformers. There's more to them than meets the eye, but I just hate their games. I also understand that not many people like the silliness of these Saints Row games. I personally love it. I never played 1 or 2, I never played Agents of Mayhem, and I didn't play the reboot. But playing Saints Row 4 during lockdown was gnarly. This over-the-top story, these superpowers, no one's expecting some introspective critique on society, which is kind of ironic with all the political iconography that Saints Row 4 has. It's what every game should be at the end of the day. Fun. Rampaging through Steelport, causing mayhem, only to be interrupted by an alien invasion? That's cool! And maybe it was because I played this during lockdown. We all remember our favorite quarantine games, okay? Can you believe that this is Kirby's first 3D game? And Air Ride does not count. It's great, I love it, but it doesn't count. It's a fairly easy game, but all of Kirby's games are easy. It's strange having this game with a landscape that's very similar to Last of Us, with these rundown buildings and moss covering the entire environment, juxtaposed with these really cutesy animals. It can't help but leave an impression on the player. So I don't have much experience with Kirby games. This is the first one I actually ever beat. I'm sure there's a lot for longtime fans to see in Forgotten Land that they'll truly appreciate compared to a Kirby novice like me. I mainly played Kirby in the Forgotten Land handheld. I just think it felt better that way. There's nothing really more to say. It's just a fantastic game all around. Dude, it's Minecraft. This is the highest selling game of all time. Literally on every single platform I own, I need Minecraft on it. And I don't even care if it runs like shit. This is a non-negotiable for me.
But it's not nothing. It's certainly not just happiness. It's better than happiness, but it's almost unbearable.
So I don't do any of the ender shit, villages, none of that. When I play Minecraft, I just mine, explore, and get lost in the world. I don't start a new world though, I just hop on the same one I've had since 2019. I bet you know this, but there's no right or wrong way to play this game, man. I wholeheartedly believe if someone says they don't like Minecraft, they have never played it. Enough said. Most definitely the most badass boomer doomer shooter I've ever played. Proteus is a love letter to the forefathers of arena shooters with Doom and Quake. It's badass, it's challenging, it's hardcore. It's enough to grow facial hair on a man and make him drink whiskey without flinching. Bro, Proteus does not get enough love. I always go into shooters about like space or other dimensions with it being like a Halo clone in mind, but I went into Proteus with Doom instead, and this far exceeded my expectations. It doesn't just repeat or iterate the formula, it builds upon it. And being completely honest, the frame rate can get a little choppy at times, but I think it really adds to the experience. It makes it feel more like an original boomer shooter. You may find the main campaign a smidge short, but luckily there is a plethora of user-generated content here. And this is awesome because Proteus does have an online multiplayer, but no one really plays it. So this is the best bet. And I think it's a better bet too. I gotta be honest, I'm a little upset they didn't call this Splatoon, but whatever. I had pretty much zero expectations for Splatoon 3. I like the first, the second one is just kind of okay, but I love the third. It's debatable if this should have been just an update to Splatoon 2, but I see why they didn't. I feel like when an online game just gets updates after updates after updates, it's no longer the same game that we enjoyed before. New weapons, gears, maps, nerfs, and buffs just complicate the experience. They probably intended to just make this as updates, but chose to make it a standalone game, and I think it's the right call. Look at something like Overwatch, for example. After all the updates, it was barely the same game as it was when it dropped. And if your main issue with Splatoon 3 is having to spend $60 again, I do get it, but also think of the countless thousands of dollars spent on free games like Overwatch, Apex, Call of Duty Warzone. And then people still spend that kind of money on Call of Duty every year and still pay for that. But for Splatoon, you just buy the game. Yeah, yeah, they have the Salmon Run expansions, but all the content updates, it's free. You don't have to pay for shit. And I think that's great. But Splatoon 3 is such a blast. Not only is it by far the definitive Splatoon experience, but it's my favorite game to stream because I would play this game with you guys. And if you guys want to see me stream and play games with me while I stream, let me know down below. Splatoon easily could have been just a simple one and done game, but they saw the potential, put a lot of love and care into it. And I think now it's one of their most popular IPs. BioShock is such a monumental game. This started the conversation of, should games be considered art? And after playing the first, I could see why what started this conversation was BioShock. What The Last of Us showrunner said about that game completely changing the archetype of video games, he was dead wrong and stupid. This guy did not play BioShock and it shows. So before I actually played BioShock, I knew just about everything story-wise. The game has this legendary status and I just didn't feel like playing it. But when I finally played BioShock, I decided to stream my experience. And even still knowing just about everything that was going to happen, my jaw was on the floor. Seeing Rapture for the very first time, a man chooses, a slave obeys, the would you kindly realization, these left me in complete awe, and I saw them coming. I gotta admit, I found the gameplay just kinda okay. I was also terrible at it too. But what shines is the setting and the story. I think Infinite isn't nearly as in-depth from a thematic point, but the first has so much nuance and inspiration, and it does political right. BioShock doesn't outright tell you, here's what you have to believe, but it shows you, and more importantly, for a video game, lets you experience it. I gotta be honest, I tried playing BioShock 2, and after 30 minutes, I was bored out of my mind. But everyone needs to play BioShock 1. Bro, I am so mad that Nintendo just stopped selling this. Y'all really thought that this wouldn't be a bestseller for the Switch? Y'all got me up. But you still get 3 of the best 3D platformers ever developed in one glorious package. I wish they did a little more here, maybe give 64 the Combat Evolved treatment, where they completely upscale all the visuals, put it in widescreen, but at the flick of a button, you could swap between the old graphics and the new graphics. Ugh, that's just a missed opportunity here, man. I'm just happy we got Sunshine and Galaxy in widescreen HD. This is how I beat all of these 3D Marios for the first time, and it's actually the first time I ever played Sunshine. I'll be honest, Sunshine was probably my least favorite game in this trilogy, but it's still a fun-ass Mario game. That's how you know it's great, when you can tell something is objectively good and it's still your least favorite. It's definitely a product of its time with like the whole beach vibe, but I love it. I'm shocked at how well they integrated the portability for something like Galaxy too. Yeah, you can argue it's not ideal to press the touchscreen to shoot starbits, but fuck it, they made it work. I am never gonna forget when I was first exposed to Plants vs. Zombies. One of my buddies when I was a kid was obsessed with this game. Anytime I'd come over, he'd be hunkered down on his 360 and it looked so stupid. Why are plants shooting these zombies? Why are zombies trying to get into the house? What's this dumb little jazz jingle playing at the end of each level? It just seemed like a dumb kid's game. Who would have thought that little kid's game would end up on a slot machine? Let alone a third-person shooter. Battle for Neighborville started in the Garden Warfare series, and holy shit, this was awesome back then. When this dropped, me and my best friend would nerd out over this seemingly dumbass video game. He played Garden Warfare on Xbox One, I played it on PS4, and keep in mind, this was 3 to 4 years before crossplay was really introduced to consoles. We'd only fantasized of the idea and sadly never got the chance to play Garden Warfare together. So when Battle for Neighborville finally dropped on the Switch, I had to live the good old days of Garden Warfare. Even though my best friend still preferred Garden Warfare to Battle for Neighborville, we had such a blast, this fun game. You cannot play this game and not have fun. Weirdly enough, Battle for Neighborville I think released around quarantine and just no one bought it. This was announced and released the following year with all of the DLC on Switch, making it the definitive version. I'll bet money that it sold best on Switch because it actually had some marketing with it. I unfortunately can't find any sales figures on this game, but trust me, bro. God, I can't believe of all games, this is my favorite shooter on the Switch. There's also not much competition for that. Wait, stop. I know a lot of people are disappointed with Switch Sports, and I totally get it. It doesn't quite live up to that original magic of Wii Sports, and yeah, I agree with that. But you know what? Take away the online aspect from this game, which is unfortunately a huge part of this game's identity. Separate it from Wii Sports plus Resort, which is another huge part of this game's identity. And Switch Sports is great. The motion controls just smack so hard, and that is the whitest thing I've ever said. Whoa. Every hit and swing is so satisfying to pull off, and the little visual flares and the sound effects really add some spice to Switch Sports. I just wish it was properly supported with updates and initially thought out. I can see all of the problems with Switch Sports. Yes, obviously, it should have been cheaper or had more content on release. It should have had consistent updates and not golf and basketball so long after the game came out. But dude, trust me, whip out Switch Sports at the next game night with your buddies. You guys are gonna have a ton of fun. So I know I definitely want a LEGO Marvel Superheroes game here, but I don't know if it's gonna be 1 or 2. LEGO Marvel Superheroes 2 was one of my first Switch games. I had so much fun playing this game side by side with Breath of the Wild. I've also had LEGO Marvel Superheroes 1 on all of my main platforms besides PC. Since it released, mind you. First the Wii U, then the PS4, and now Switch. I do love these games, even though they can be a little interchangeable. But at the end of the day, I think I have a lot more admiration for LEGO Marvel Superheroes 1 than 2. While the second feels a lot like an MCU tie-in for the most part, LEGO Marvel Superheroes 1 feels a lot like a love letter to all of Marvel. You got a mix of MCU stuff in there, X-Men, Fantastic Four, Spidey. My God! Keep in mind, this game dropped in late 2013 originally. Marvel Studios didn't have the rights to use any of those brands. Seeing these characters all come together was great. And they even snuck in lesser known heroes like Moon Knight and Squirrel Girl. And this was before Rivals let all the Gooners know who Squirrel Girl was. It's the classic LEGO formula that we all know and expect and love from these games. But what really switched up the formula was
I need someone to show me my place in all this.
Okay, I bet you're thinking like bad opinion after bad opinion after bad opinion. But dude, LEGO Skywalker Saga absolutely rips. If anyone says otherwise, they can argue with the wall. It's nothing like the complete saga. It's a riff on that experience, and I think it's for the better. If you look at all of the mainline LEGO games, from LEGO Star Wars to DC Supervillains, these are basically the same game. Skywalker Saga redid the combat, being more focused on unique combos, the platforming turned more into something like Prince of Persia or Uncharted, and shooting similar to Gears of War. What the f? Also, each trilogy has its own different gameplay style. It's sick. And I really wish they kept the character customization, but also it's just something I gave less of a about over time. Also, I wish the open world felt more open rather than feeling like a bunch of playsets sat next to each other. I wonder if that was actually the idea behind it all. That's pretty smart. But even still, there is a ton of detail crafted within each of these environments that anyone could appreciate. Like, look at the LEGO minifigures and their footsteps. Like, that's cool. They also get dirty. That's awesome. And seeing all of this run on a Switch, that's impressive. You see that game right there? This is my Skyrim. That is my Witcher 3, bro. Immortals Fenyx Rising is a game I've metaphorically sucked off numerous times. The best way to describe this is Breath of the Wild, TOTK, but a spin on Greek mythology. There's more of a focus on combat and action rather than puzzle solving. I get, yeah, it's a Ubisoft game. People are gonna be turned off from that, but no. Immortals Fenyx Rising is such a phenomenal experience, dude. Ubisoft hasn't made a combat system this fun, challenging, exciting, rewarding since Assassin's Creed 2. It's born out of the same game engine of the newer Assassin's Creeds, so it does share a lot of that same DNA, but this is such a delightful spin on that experience those games offer. The beautiful vistas, even on Switch, made my jaw drop. The art style was clearly executed like this to run without much issue for Switch, and it's one of my favorite aspects of Immortals Fenyx Rising. So many titles now feel so uninspired with the visuals, with this realistic style. Besides Marvel Rivals, not many AAA or notorious games have a unique look. Immortals Fenyx Rising completely stands out from the rest of the crowd, and the comedic writing, mwah, nutworthy. I can't recommend Immortals Fenyx Rising enough, even if I tried. But unfortunately, plans for a sequel were killed, leaving this promising IP to just die. I really hope we get Immortals Fenyx Rising back again at some time. I see this game going on sale for like 15 bucks, hell, even $8. That's a steal.
Mario Kart 8!
Dude, it's Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. Need I say more? Assassin's Creed, primarily the Ezio trilogy, holds a very special place in my heart. This is the trilogy that solidified my love for video games. I always saw video games as just entertainment, kind of like a toy, just something to kill time and nothing really more to it. But then I became fully immersed in the world that Assassin's Creed presented to me. And until it released on the Switch, I didn't realize what these games meant to me. I realized it now, nearly 2 decades later, thinking back to when I was watching Assassin's Creed Embers, that animated movie, when it first came out. Seeing Ezio in the twilight of his life and witnessing the end of it genuinely brought my 13-year-old self to tears. You see Ezio's entire life, from his birth to his death. No game, as far as I know, has done it to this degree. And also the impact that the parkour and the gameplay of the open world can still be felt to this day. Those were the things that hooked you originally in Assassin's Creed's Ezio trilogy, but what kept me coming back was the incredible story and plot. A classic example of being worth more than the sum of its parts. The icing on the cake here is playing the Ezio trilogy on a handheld device. I had played all of the handheld Assassin's Creed games besides 3 Liberation, and yes, it is because I'm misogynistic and racist. And I wish I could have just played all of these games portably, and now I can. So I'll never forget this. It was during quarantine, I had to get my oil change, and I got Black Flag for Switch the previous Christmas. As I was at that dealership, I was playing this PS4 launch game on my handheld. I didn't think that that'd be possible. It's that same kind of thought process when you're drunk at the party and then you go into the bathroom and you see your reflection, you're like, I'm in this bitch. All right, so I know Rise gets kind of the short stick from a lot of Monster Hunter fans, but I will be damned if this game is not epic to the most insane degree. All right, so remember a little while back I had said that Immortals Fenyx Rising is my Skyrim and my Witcher 3? Well, this is my Dark Souls. Show this game to basically anyone in the 1930s and their eyes are just gonna melt out of their asshole. It's all balls to the wall momentum, but with a purpose. You can't go into Monster Hunter just spamming buttons. It may look like that, but there does come a form of strategy, and if you don't know what you're doing, you're gonna get your rocked. It's weird, Monster Hunter Rise has always been a very comforting game to me. It takes me back to similar times of playing Monster Hunter 3 Ultimate on my 3DS in the car with my parents. I would try really hard to keep my excitement as I just be the baddest ever faced in front of me in a video game. Brother, I still remember buying this game for my Wii U. My grandpa had picked me up, took me to GameStop. I got my pre-order for 3D World plus A Link Between Worlds that night, and I thought I hit the jackpot. And they became 2 of my favorite games I've ever played. Super Mario 3D World plus Bowser's Fury is easily the most fun I've ever had playing a Mario game and is easily my favorite platformer ever. If you don't feel anything looking at the gameplay for 3D World, I don't know, man, stop eating synthetic food, get some vitamin D, start praying to God. If none of that works, you're doomed. The controls are perfectly tuned. The level design may be similar to that of 3D Land, but it's still beyond exhilarating, especially in the later stages. The best way to describe this game is just 3D New Super Mario Bros, but that's not a bad thing. Each level just feels so unique. You'll go from snow-capped tundra to sandy beach to lava ruins in no time. And this game gets hard by the end, bro. And holy shit, dude, Bowser's Fury goes crazy. I'll still listen to the Lake Lapcat music when I'm editing these videos. Haven't done it in a little while, but I used to do it all the time. Dude, this takes me back to like early spring, summer mornings when I was a kid. The way this soundtrack sounds is something I can never get sick of. You do get a lot with this game that justifies its existence and the long wait to go to the Switch after so many great Wii U games already made that transition. We've taken a look at a ton of Switch games. I've shared my story with each of these, but now it's time for the game that defined the Switch. A lot of people's first Switch game too, and I don't think it needs any more introduction. So I'm merging Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom together because they are basically the same game, but also kind of not. Just like most of you, Breath of the Wild was my first Switch game. And I think this is the game that launched the system to success from the Wii U's ashes of failure. The hype around Tears of the Kingdom was insurmountable. Everyone just wanted to know more about it because no one knew a thing. And the fact the biggest addition, the depths, were kept completely in the dark, no pun intended, was what? Everyone has sung high praises of these games. One thing I saw really in common with Tears of the Kingdom, especially like with all of my friends, we all had hundreds of hours in this game doing all kinds of side content, but no one wanted to beat it. It's just too special. I don't want to beat it. It's what I heard my friends say all the time, and I was in that camp. The idea of beating this magnum opus was too daunting. I had poured so much into it, and I enjoyed every moment of it. And I know for a fact I have a lot more hours and done in Tears of the Kingdom than I do in Breath of the Wild. I wanted to help these people in this world a lot more. I wanted to explore every nook and cranny. I wanted to climb everything here. I wanted to see it all. So when I first played Breath of the Wild, I was 19 years old, still living with my parents. I'm going to college. I'm working at this discount home furniture store. I'm barely able to get 8 hours a week here, and I would get paid every week, and some of those paychecks weren't even $90. But when Tears of the Kingdom came out, I'm living on my own. I stopped going to college just because I didn't want to do it anymore. I got my associates, I'm out. I'm working a job in the city, and I learned that I'm gonna be a dad. And that was another huge reason why I didn't want to beat Tears of the Kingdom. I remember going to all these doctor's appointments for my baby, ultrasounds, blood tests, like the usual stuff. And during this time, I was playing Tears of the Kingdom. This is by far the most transformative time in my life, and TOTK was right beside me during that entire thing. And beating Tears of the Kingdom was like closing this chapter of my life, and I was really nervous to read what came next. I love Tears of the Kingdom. It's one of, if not the greatest game I've ever played, and I knew that even before getting off Tutorial Island. It's insane seeing how much life can change in 7 years. And I think it just goes to show that like these games are more than just games. They're almost like tickets to windows of the past. Like, bro, take a game from your shelf, primarily one that you've had for a long time. I bet you have a story associated with that. And let me know down below some of yours. I would love to read them. The Switch has been absolutely phenomenal, and I cannot wait for the Switch 2.